Oh my god. Okay, I gotta get to this. I gotta get to this goofy ass fucking bullshit. Hold on. Where the fuck? Okay. Let me get my pop-ups here. Because this has been something people have been actually very interested in. And as a slightly kind of knowing what I'm into when I do this stuff, we'll get into it. All right. Okay. Ethan Klein is a lolcow on the internet. Ethan Klein needs no introduction, but we're going to give him one anyway. He's the head entrepreneur and litigator-in-chief of the H3 Productions greater family of entertainment products. A multimillionaire, a moron, and a recently Ozempic-fied lolcow extraordinaire. He's kind of embarrassing himself in new and exciting ways on a day-to-day basis, having a series of unending and constantly like explosive crash outs. He is the nuclear meltdown elephant's foot of cringe fake liberal centrism online. It's really what it is. It's the true final meltdown stage of liberal centrism and play pretend. I don't know if you know, but he's actually pretty center left, which is like, okay, what do you mean by center left? Like he sees a gay and he does not immediately call them a slur. He waits till he's inside. Okay, cool. Thank you. All right. Well, yeah. He is personifying that. He is a guy that was tried to be hailed as the king of normies by my fellow content creators over there in the Poofy network, the Pedophiles United for Israel. Shout out Nick Diorio. Shout out Chud Logic. Shout out their fans that'll come in here and cry, you don't have any evidence. Don't need any. Shouldn't look like that. Fucking talking mad shit. Ethan Klein has had a storied career online. Obviously, it started years and years and years ago. Eventually, it turned into a podcast. And to get a long story short, Ethan Klein is so bad at live production, which I'm doing right now. And every live streamer you've probably seen in your life is doing, because it's live audio video production. I am doing it right here in front of you. I'm like 16 seconds behind in the past as I'm speaking to you, but that's pretty much it. He transitioned to that after a time as a video guy, and as he was introduced to the world yet again in his kind of unadulterated live form, the cracks in the Ethan Klein mythos personality started to become very, very apparent. Ethan is petulant and childish. Now, that seemed like part of the kind of appeal of him when he was starting off in edited, like short form YouTube content back in the day, little goofs and gaffs videos back in the day. Okay. As you start experiencing him live, you realize he's petulant. He's not particularly funny. He's a hack comedian. He's very, very fucking hacky. Most of his jokes are just raw bullying, just describing someone without a funny word or any sort of relationship, just raw bullying, and sometimes just saying slurs or some sort of non sequitur in order to try to be funny. As his failures of an entertainer were compounded by his success as a YT welfare recipient, you know, he's on YouTube. He's a well-known name. He just kind of keeps getting more and more controversy, which brings an additional continuing stream of new viewers who come, watch, are disappointed, and leave. His base audience kind of sort of stays, shrinks, swells, grows, shrinks, whatever. And this overstream kind of comes past. They realize, well, we can't quite let him say insanely inflammatory, racist shit and then also be a petulant child about it all the fucking time. So we need a way to mitigate this damage, because all of our jobs depend on massaging Ethan's reputation online. And there's a lot of people that are doing that right now. Chud Logic, Nick Diorio, Willie Mac Show is probably going to be getting onto it. Felcher Box is on it. Destiny will probably be doing it. I don't know, in between dealing with his own lawsuits and pending litigations. Massaging Ethan's reputation online is hyper important for a number of reasons. First off, it keeps the fucking show on air, right? So that's necessary. Second off, Ethan has evolved over time from being a guy on the internet who makes content to being a sort of lightning rod for certain types of criticisms and a clearinghouse for normie takes, i.e., by normie, they don't mean actually a normal person. They mean trying to justify middle grounding a take that actually should be further left by saying, oh no, it's actually fair to see it as this, because he's being fair, i.e. giving additional credence to false aspects of the conservative narrative in order to try to pretend to be an enlightened centrist, or at least a grounded centrist normie guy, right? He's too stupid to understand political manipulations and stuff. So when you look at Ethan, he's too dumb. He's too stupid. He's too fucking slop brained to be crafty or anything. It's not like anyone's trying to actively affect his content. So when he says something, it's actually indicative of what the middle ground is, because, you know, he's not trying to like see through and engage in all these like duplicities and blah, blah, blah. See, what he is he's the middle ground. And so people have really tried to hold him up as it, especially Diorio, since the Hassan and Ethan complications got worse and worse and turned into what eventually became the content nuke. Because Ethan Klein is wrong about everything regarding Israel. Pretty much like 99%. Even when he gets factoids wrong, his ultimate revelatory moment about what he thinks he's seeing is incorrect, because he's historically and spiritually wrong about the entirety of the fucking issue. But because he's the strongest possible pushback against Hassan, which a lot of online right-wing commentators try to make indicative and emblematic of all leftist thought, we have to have H3H3 beat Hassan in order to show that Hassan bad, and therefore all socialist and pro-worker advocacy is bad, right? That's kind of the point. We got to make sure no new lefty voices rise up, and we got to make sure that we paint Hassan as the entirety of what leftism is, which is, you know, shallow, it's inconsequential, it doesn't stand up for its goals, it's actually just pro-terrorism, it's actually just anti-Americanism, all this fucking horse shit. That is the point and the value of H3H3, okay? And that is why H3H3 gets fucking boosts. That is why fucking Nick Diorio is sucking him dry. That's why Chud Logic is sucking him dry. That's why Queeman is sucking him dry. That's why all of these fucking creators are sucking him dry, is because the fake middle, which is really just the libertine right? They're just right-winger conservatives that just want to also be able to stick their cock in anything, which means they just really want access to power and the ability to get away with it afforded by high-level positions on the right wing. That's all they fucking want, okay? That whole like little cabal, right, is basically the final fucking nail keeping H3H3 Productions alive, because they're the only people that are supportive of him right now, because it's very hard and increasingly more difficult day by day, hour by hour at this point, to hear someone say they're on Israel's side and not just go, oh, so you're pro-genocide, you want to see the Palestinian kids dead. Because that's just becoming the fuck, everyone knows now. All of China knows you're here. You know what I mean? Everyone is fucking aware. And so to keep Ethan alive at all, you have to maintain the most barest semblance of impartiality, of being a sober-minded and adult individual, and just keep him from saying so many slurs on camera and telling horrible, unfunny jokes. And the attempt to massage his content is so egregious that they did purchase and install a big-ass 30-second, highly complex, actually surprisingly complicated delay system that's called the AirCleaner 2, and we're going to be getting into that. And don't worry, if you're new to my chat, I'll be talking to people after the fact. If you throw a dono up, I might notice it. If I'm not here, I might not. Oh yeah, Hutch is also sucking him dry. Hutch with the sniff test, baby. So this is the AirCleaner 2. I had to get into this because I thought it was fucking absolutely ridiculous. And actually, it is a more complicated system than people give it credit for, and it probably is actually worth pushing $16,000. And I know that sounds crazy, but it is. It also does way more than you think. It's part of a much more complicated broadcast system. The button itself is not the entirety of it. I thought that was the case too. That is just a fucking moron proof is literally, it's a fucking moron proof control system that's connected to the actual thing. And I'll show you guys that. I'm actually going to show you the system. And then I'm going to show you the schematics for it, just so you guys can understand exactly what's happening in the theater system. I wanted to finish this out. This is what actually being like impartial looks like. If you're a content community guy, right? It's also called research. I know you guys are too fucking stupid for that. If you don't get sent a clip from the farms, you're just like lost in this. Can somebody go to the Destiny main thread and find me a picture, please? This is called research. This is what actually being impartial is. I want to show that it's a thing you can do. So it is a button. It is actually 16, I think it's 17 almost, $1,000. Maybe it was 20 when he first got it. And it is actually worth it, essentially, in parts and labor costs. And it is a much more complicated system that it immediately lets on. So this is the AirCleaner 2, right? Made by Ross Video. I think this guy makes these things himself. You can actually see Ross somewhere in here. Can I have? Are we not? Okay, let me just. Why is this website like this now all of a sudden? Is this the mobile version? What? the website is freaking the fuck out. Let me just zoom out or something. There we go. I have no idea why the website was acting like that. So this is the AirCleaner, but this is not the whole thing. This is the AirCleaner control system that Ethan has on his desk. The standard system comes with 2 of these, and I'll show you the hookup. This is the actual thing that costs. This is the actual thing that costs a fuckload of money. Okay, both of these technically do too. They're not like necessarily cheap, but these are just analog system interfaces with digital components built into them for basically doing like menu settings and stuff. And then you have this system. So it is set up to handle what is it called? ADI, SRI. Basically, in audio video connections, you have like the HDMI and like Ethernet or DisplayPort DPs for your normal computers. This has these connections in it. Open an image in new tab, right? PGMs, I guess, or whatever the fuck. These are the more advanced versions of audio-visual connectors used in high-level productions. Does the H3 staff need them? No, they probably justified them after the fact, but if you're ever wondering why they have so many fucking cameras in that area, it's because they're using this kind of stuff. So you can use NRI or NIR, I can't remember, but basically Ethernet connected connectivity to control all this stuff. It's very, very high-level shit for like transmitting lossless HDI or HD video at like 4K, 16 gigabytes per second, and unlike HDMI, which has a latency point of about 50 feet, right? So basically, for every HDMI cable at 50 feet, you lose info, right? So it has latency feedbacks, or whatever the fuck it's called. So you lose info every 50 feet. With this kind of cord, you don't. More expensive cord, more expensive systems. That's kind of the breakdown. So that's why this thing is sort of hyper expensive. These are the 2 video link ups that you see here in the back, and then a series of other connections. So what this does is it does mixing and shit. See, it has 2 fucking gigantic onboard fucking computers. It's huge. It's huge, 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 huge. This is the actual specs, right? So you can find all this on the AirCleaner site. The links should also be in my episode description. The installation and cabling. So this is the setup that they have at H3H3, right? Because apparently Dan has one of these. There's a short Y extender cable. It comes out of there. I think this new system actually has 2 of these. No, it doesn't. It just has the one. So that's actually where it plugs in. And then it extends out. This one goes to Ethan. You know what I'm saying? This one goes to Dan or whatever his name is. The stuff comes in, the stuff goes out. And then all of this is connected with a bunch of mixers and shit. The high amounts, yeah, they're not necessarily new, right? This isn't necessarily a novel technology, but it's just high cost. At the minimum. Now, does it specifically cost $17,000? No, but a guy has to build everything and then send it to you. So, when you factor in profit and labor and all that shit, you actually start getting in the ballpark of it. I've looked up some of the pieces of stuff that go into it. Yeah, this retails for $16,722 from ngshop.co. And like, yeah, it has pieces like this in it. So 3G SGI capture card. So it'll have like capture cards like this in it, right? This is the Blackmagic version of an SGI, which is these. Am I saying that right? Oh, I'm looking at the wrong string. I just moved it already. Yeah. Blackmagic design deck link quad to 8-channel 3G SDI. SDI is what I mean to say. Capture and playback card. So it'd have 2 of these in there to fucking mix match everything in there. That's why it's got 2 fucking electrics in, I'm pretty sure. So this isn't the specific card that's going to be in there, but something like this. So you can see the starting level for just the electronics, and you're going to have wholesale prices and stuff, is actually pretty fucking high. And this basically works as a gigantic fucking mixer into their stuff. So they probably have some sort of big one to catch all of their stuff coming in. I should probably want something like this, has everything coming into it. And then it mixes all of those signals together, and they are overlapping audio visual channels. So, you have video channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All of those signals are coming in, but layering puts that channel at the top. But when you're sending in 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 channels, one for every single one of those cameras they have, you have to mix them into something like this. So they probably have this on the rack underneath this thing, and then it goes into this, and then fucking like through these, right? The reference and all that stuff, delayed video out, delayed in, and then comes out to these. Is that a lot? Yes. The funniest part about this is you can do this obviously for free and next to free inside your computer. The reason that they have to spend this is because for no particularly great reason, they have 100 fucking cameras in that studio. And by no particularly great reason, I mean one fundamentally necessary reason, and that is Ethan's not funny. This is a recuperative cost. Everything in that, I'll hammer this out. Everything that you see in the H3 studios is because Ethan is not very funny. And it's crazy what capital can do for you to massage your lack of talent. And that's where we're going to be going with this for the next few seconds. So understand this. Right now, I have more than enough capability on my own computer to handle everything that I need. I have 2 cameras, one down there and one here. I have enough RAM and GPU to handle the max output necessary. I have 10 megabytes per second, essentially, bit rate, right? Don't worry about 4G or 4K. That doesn't matter. Bit rate's all that really matters. That's the amount of information that's transferred into the network. YouTube's maximum permissible bit rate is, actually I have it written down here. Can you zoom in, please? Thank you. Yeah. YouTube caps out bit rate for 4K 60 FPS streaming. Oh, thank you for the 10 gifted subs, based Uncle Iroll. YouTube caps out the max bit rate that it will permit for uploading at 40 megabytes, right? 40,000 kbs. You'll see that if you see those numbers, 40 kbs. MBS, 40,000 kbs. The lossless version of 4K audio is right around 4K audio video is about 100 MBS, 100 megabytes per second, 100,000 kbs, all the way up there at the tippity top, right? And so you can't even get halfway to the max that goes to. I did the numbers on normal delays just so that you understand that you can delay that high level of data like crazy. And I wrote all this out. So at 100 megabytes per second, 100,000 kbs, which is the lower threshold for lossless streaming in 4K, which YouTube doesn't even permit. The OBS requirement for 240 seconds, 4 minutes of stream delay, is 3 gigabytes of memory, 3004 megabytes. According to OBS's own system reports, for 30 seconds, it's just 375 megabytes of memory. YouTube caps out bitrate for 4K 60 FPS streaming at 40 megabytes per second, recommending a bitrate of 35 MBS. So even at the highest streaming bitrate permitted by YouTube, 30 seconds of delay only requires 150 megabytes of memory, and 240 seconds of delay only requires 1,204 megabytes, 1.2 gigabytes. And then we get into SDI. So the reason that they have to have this system first is because they're doing SDI signals from a number of things. So their bit rate is insanely fucking high because they have multiple 4K cameras pointing at everybody at the same time. There's a reason that this is funny, and I'm going to get to it, and it's going to fucking kill you here in a second. So all of this is massaging the fact that Ethan's not funny. So any other person, if you watch like Creepcast and stuff, 1, maybe 2 cameras tops. 3 is pushing it. Your average news studio, production news studio that does this shit every day and uses a lot of the same systems is going to have 4 cameras tops and then maybe like 2 or 3 input feeds from camera cars out in the field for a night live reporting, right? If they're not just running stuff off stuff. So that's a high level news production. Something like SNL has maybe 3 cameras total going at the entire time. H3H3 Productions has, I forgot to actually count it out completely, but I know there's top down, bottom down, Ethan, Hila, Dan, AB, the other guy, the other girl, and I think 1 more. So that's at least 9 that I think I've seen, maybe 10 total cameras going at a time. Why is that? It is because Ethan is completely incapable of running a show on his own. He is so unfunny that they needed to add an additional amount of cameras to that studio. So many fucking cameras to capture literally any possible fucking funny thing that they are running a more expensive and complicated studio operation than any fucking average day-to-day news studio. Than any average day-to-day news studio. It's actually fucking bonkers how much shit they have going on in there. I think you might have seen me if you watched this yesterday. I was counting the lights. I was like, God damn, they got a fucking lot of lights. I mean, I guess they need that many for that many cameras. And I started, the fuck is the power bill for this place? The funny part about that is when you are running SDI like that, you can always cut with even just a normal delay. Because you have a normal delay on the cards and stuff, you can cut to somebody else doing something, right? So I'm going to actually complicate it, and I'm going to send you guys out of here. Trust me. At the end of this, you fucking psychos from Leftovers and shit are actually going to be armed with more weapons in your belt than you fucking ever thought. And I want you to really keep in mind when you were like, wait, why did they just randomly switch to AB for like 30 seconds and just hold the camera on him? It's because when you're multi-lining, you can switch to any line and turn off the audio or turn on the audio from any other line as well. So if something's happening that you don't want people to see, you can say switch to camera 2. Everybody in production knows this. This is bog standard stuff. Can we switch to camera 3? Can we switch to camera 2? Camera 2 audio 1. Can we get audio off the lav mic on chair 2? Can we get audio off the lav mics on chair 3? Can we get main desk audio up? Main desk audio, we need main desk audio up. Can we get audience audio decreased? Can we get sound rolling on audio 5? Do you know what I'm saying? All of that. So if you see a switch, it means that they can turn that off and switch. So they always have the ability to hold stuff back. Also, because of the way that this thing works, I'll show you this again, you can remix the audio. That's why this is expensive. So it has multiple SD channels. I was improperly thinking of my setup where I only have everything being mixed here, and then there is no space really between me and export aside from OBS itself, right? I don't have another guy to sit around and mix for me. Dan is mixing constantly while he's in there. Because of the way that this is working, you can rewind into other audio and other video that actually hasn't been doing anything and hasn't been shown. So because, you're at, okay, so I'll put it this way. You're at 1 p.m., right? 1 p.m. plus 30 seconds. So we'll say you're at 0 to 30 seconds. At 0:05, okay, on camera 1, Ethan does a bad gaffe. Ethan goes goblin mode. By 10 seconds after that fact, boom, we've hit the button, okay? There's different ways the button can work. The button doesn't always have to delete. The button can switch. Click, and it will switch, moving 5 seconds back, switch to another camera with different audio or that audio removed. Ka-ka-cha, like that. It will literally gear shift everything. So if you're ever watching H3H3 and you're like, why did they switch cameras? That was them hitting the button every time where you're like, why is that a different audio? Why is that different video? That's what this system does. So understand, when you're seeing them run out of audio and video, they've burned up every backup shot in the fucking system. Every line has 30 seconds on it. Every line has 30 seconds on it. Every fucking line. So they burned up 30 seconds on every camera and all the audio and can't switch. That's fucking nuts. And the system can go up to, the specs say for 1080. I don't know. I'm assuming they're in 4K. 4K, it's like 30 seconds max or something like that. When you get up to like 1080, it goes down. So if they're exporting at 1080, that's all the system cares about because it's getting mixed over here, right? That's AB running the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cameras. And then his emergency camera, his emergency button's over here. So he can constantly be switching away from bad audio on a natural delay. He can switch away from bad audio on a natural delay that might be built into the system just because. 5 seconds, a 5-second raw delay. So if you're seeing anything, there's probably actually a series of delays built into this that you are actually witnessing through. So not only is the issue that they have a button where he has to abuse it so much, he's getting cut back, they're actually hitting it so much, they are outdoing the system limitations of this unit that has 2 fucking power sources coming into it just to maintain the buildup between those 2 fucking channels. Is that fucking not nuts? That's so crazy. When you look into it, it's actually fucking even crazier. So like the whole thing has like audio scramble. You can go switch to a different audio. You can go switch to a different video because as it's going, okay, so we hit 0, 5 seconds, 10 seconds, we switch to camera 1. Boop. Camera 1 is AB. And then we've burned out that 30 seconds. We're back here. Click, chink, back into normal time because we've rewound. Wah-cha, kink, right there. You've gotten rid of it, and now you've basically done. If you guys ever seen the movie Looper, it's Looper. That's all it is. It's Looper. The movie Looper. It's very, very good. Okay, very, very dry. It is fucking wild, actually, because all of the delay stuff is built into these things naturally. You kind of have to have it. FCC compliance with production means that you have to be able to delay things, and internet people are not the only ones to buy these systems. Internet people essentially never buy these ones. This is crazy. Do you know what I mean? This is for something for like Sports Center, just in case Shaq goes, oh, fuck, and you, oh, shit, fuck. You know what I mean? They're like, okay, Shaq, what are you doing, man? What was that? And then you can switch to camera 2. You know what I mean? You could switch out, and if you know how production works and you know how to smooth stuff, no one will ever notice, right? It's Tyler Durden. Boop. Think that for me to forget. Yet. And the audience never has a clue. It's actually fucking awesome. And so they both have these. They both have connection to the memory system. I would love to actually fuck with one of these things. I think it's fascinating. I will say this. It probably actually definitely is worth the money. Just for components, parts, labor, construction, and novelty. I don't know if there's a lot of other systems that specifically do this. It is more than just the control system. And let me see, I have the manual here. So I'll bring up the manual. I was reading this all morning. Sorry. I know this is like probably not what you expected, maybe. So you have all the panic buttons, redundant power supply. So it's set up. If you guys remember where he's like, oh, the button failed me. The button fucked up. It's impossible to fuck. This button has redundant power supplies and battery supplies that can be turned on and off. It is almost impossible. It is such a failsafe. It's like saying like my seatbelt failed. Do you know what I mean? In like the year of our Lord 2025, like your seatbelt failed? Yeah. Like I died in this car crash because my seatbelt failed. And they're like, the seatbelt's still attached. How the fuck did the seatbelt fail? And then you see him like, click. It's not fucking wearing it type shit. It is actually fucking crazy how complicated this thing is. Here's the theory of operation. If you're more interested in having the professionals show you the tech diagrams behind this thing, I strongly suggest going. Like I said, I have, I think, the links to all of this in the episode description. If I don't and I'm missing one, let me know. But yeah, if you're like, oh no, this is it. I want you to know that actually, yes, it is a $16,700, so $1,700 button. Maybe they paid $20K for it. if they had somebody come in and install it and hook it all up, because I don't know if anyone on their cast actually knows how to. This would actually be pretty fucking complicated in my mind to hook up. For me, it would take me a little while just to deal with all the cords and stuff. Maybe they have people on staff that could do it, but yeah, have someone come in, hook it up, run it, test it. Someone that else maybe comes in and does double checking. I started off thinking like they got fucking raked, and then I actually looked into it, and this thing is actually this fucking complicated. So dashboard interface, you can see how it's preset. This is the mix up. They could possibly also have a pedal version. This is the pedal version that's on the ground, right? That's why it's got the big ass buttons. You can also stick it underneath the desk and foot tap it. But he's got he's a little depressed, so he puts it up there so he can slap the thing. So this guy's using a system that is an oh shit for the occasional curse word, the occasional, oh fuck, somebody out live in the field, they were doing a live field thing and some lady ran up and flashed, Susan Collins is out here with Channel 7 News. Susan, can you tell us more about Buster's birthday out at the petting zoo? Oh yeah, titties am on the news, beep, and you get rid of that. That's what this is for, and they're overloading it. Is fucking awesome. There should be no earth where I see anything happen. They don't have a set understanding of what is and isn't permissible is the other thing too. Any other station, any newsroom worth its salt, I just know this is going to be the case because they're going to do editing the same way I do editing in the newsroom. They're going to have lists of words, obviously, and they're going to have somebody on the fucking switch that's going to punch out, and they know, because they know. Okay, yeah, but no address, no name, no this, no that. We don't run pictures of this politician. We don't run pictures of kids. We don't let children talk this way, blah, blah, blah. We don't let people run photos inside a church. Whatever the fuck it is that you actually want to do. You know what I mean? You have that person, and they have a list, and they're trained on it, and they know. At H3H3 Productions, they're so off page with each other about what is and isn't permissible to go online because it's so fucking day by day that they don't have the time to stop the fucking production for 2 seconds and inside the massive 30-second window hit the button. And like, okay, I've got to really show this to you. I'm going to show you how long 30 seconds is. Think about how I'm talking. And I'm going to start talking about this stuff, and I'm going to put this on my phone on screen so that you can really see how long 30 seconds is. If you've never been fucking, if you've never been on stage or anything, 30 seconds is long, okay? So I'm going to get on here. This is the start. I'm going to hold this up here, and I'm going to talk, and I'm just going to like look through some of this stuff, okay? You can set reaction times, all this, click the control panel, and go down. Audio control reaction time. Enter the amount of reaction time in seconds, 0 to max for oral panic button triggers. Video conceal reaction time. Enter the amount of reaction time in seconds, 0 to max for visual panel button triggers. The maximum amount of time. Oh, did it turn off? Shit. Damn it, sorry. And that's 30 seconds. So that's how long 30 seconds takes, right? In that amount of time, where especially if you're in conversational, shooting back and forth, reading through things, they couldn't stop it and rewind time an additional 30 seconds and delete it. So they're letting themselves talk fucking forever. I'll do it one more time, right? They're actually literally letting themselves talk all the way through this entire thing. So they're having conversations during a 30-second interval where they could rewind at any time, and they are all so completely off script. They have no control over their fucking voices, over what they're saying. They have no sense of what should and shouldn't be cut, and it's all completely up to just the baby man feelings of Ethan Klein that in 30 seconds, which we're still seeing on the clock right now, they cannot get on track. That is 30 seconds. That's how fucking long it is. And the thing goes further. It goes further, and every 30 seconds can switch to a different channel. And you can rewind. That's what the value of the thing is it holding on to a shitload of fucking memory. So each one of those things has each one of those outlets, those throughs, has like 16 gigabytes per second level of upload. It's a massive amount of data that it can carry with audio and stuff. And so all those cameras coming in, mixing, going in, they can choose from 30 seconds from every camera. They can choose 30 seconds from every bit of audio and switch to all of them in a way that you wouldn't be able to see. So if you've ever seen, and they're like, okay, yeah, I just want to say, I don't know. And then you switch to Hila or something, and it's like silent. She's like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Da, 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 da. You can do that, and then you can cut back to him, and you're actually back on time, and you just cut from 25 seconds ago to back on time, and you cut her off. That's the magic of editing. So you can actually stack that up. There's potentially minutes of lost time in that show because you, the audience, are only going to see in that video a no time, no second cut, or that like cutaway screen where they're recharging the memory on every single thing, that those loops have to be rebuilt. When I turn my stream on, it runs for 16 seconds before it says it's ready to go because it gives me 16 seconds. So right now there's 16 seconds ahead of me, you know what I mean? Or behind me that I can jump back in time to. It's like a fucking, I'm King Crimson. Walking epitaph. You know what I'm saying? And now I'm back here. Epitaph. So like literally, yeah, I think that's actually a pretty good, literally fucking, yeah, actually that's literally perfect. What Ethan Klein is doing is spamming King Crimson so much that King Crimson is becoming obvious to the rest of the JoJo's. King Crimson. That's what it is. Those skip ins, I see this, I see that, and it all mixes together, but it happens in an instant. That is literally what you're seeing. So there's no way to necessarily tell. And trust me, if you're catching them, there is so much that is there that you're not seeing that it's mind-boggling. I've been button-pilled. The craziest conspiracy theories about it were actually probably pretty fucking correct. And I wanted to explain the technicality of what is actually occurring. So yeah, you could see people leaving. When you see people cut back and you're like, well, they cut back and that guy's still there. That guy might not be there because they can cut to the other camera because of the way that this system works. They could cut to 2 hours ago in certain circumstances. They can cut to raw footage and mix it in and you would never know. So understand, when you catch them at all saying anything, it's way more than 30 seconds. And it could be a lot of time. It is the craziest racism parachute I've ever seen. The racism eject button. Oh, fuck. I had a name for this that people can use. Hold on. I've got to look it up in my stupid ass notes. Hold on. Let me see my episode description. I forgot this. I spent so long. But I want to spread this out. I want to spread this out. I want people to talk about it because it's very funny. Ethan Klein's $17,000 racism eject button. Yeah. Okay, so I call this, I know it's the AirCleaner. Shout out to the guy that made the AirCleaner, but when it's being used on H3 Productions, we say that Ethan is slapping the Bigotry Urgent Suppression System, or the BUSSY, all right? So you can just say, oh, look, I bet Ethan just slapped the BUSSY. Ethan slapped the BUSSY again. Ethan just had to hit the Bigotry Urgent Suppression System. The Bigotry Urgent Suppression System, the BUSSY. Ethan's touching the BUSSY again. I think Ethan touched the BUSSY on that last playground. Ethan had to slap the BUSSY. If no one else finds that funny, I'm telling you, I was running today and I'm a little bit oxygen starved. Even though that was before I started running, I forgive myself. The Bigotry Urgent Suppression System, the BUSSY, slapping the BUSSY. If he actually had a sense of humor at all, he would adopt that. Ethan, did you just slap the BUSSY? I did just slap the BUSSY. Oh my God, I'm gonna die, Tyler. You can't slap the BUSSY. Everyone said boo. I think I'm gonna talk to chat now. I think that's a pretty good place. I can't see any additional information I missed out on. You should actually look this thing up. It's very fascinating how it works, and I don't completely understand the entirety of it from a purely technological standpoint. I don't know what the internal components are, but it's basically just a box with a shitload of fucking flash memory or instant memory, whatever you call it nowadays. I guess they probably don't call it flash memory, but basically a shitload of fucking RAM and audio processing and cutting systems and a little bit of digital this and that. I bet this is legitimately fascinating for people that have to use it, and the instantaneousness of it is probably very effective as well.
Hope you enjoyed your time on the